you ever replayed one awkward moment in your head for hours, maybe even days, while everyone else seems to have already moved on? You say one strange sentence, post one photo, make one tiny mistake, and suddenly it feels like the whole world noticed. Like people are watching you, judging you, remembering every detail. But here's the truth. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to spend that much time thinking about you. And yet, your mind keeps acting like you're standing on a stage, under a giant spotlight with everyone watching your every move. That feeling is not weakness. It's not vanity. And it's not just in your head in the way people mean it. It's actually psychology. It's biology. It's habit. And once you understand why your brain cares so much about what other people think, you can finally stop living like your life is a performance. Because the real cost of this mindset is bigger than embarrassment. It steals your peace. It kills your confidence. And it slowly turns your personality into something designed for approval instead of something real. So if you're tired of overthinking, second-guessing yourself, and feeling trapped by other people's opinions, this is for you. Psychologists have a name for this, the spotlight effect. It's the tendency to believe that other people notice us much more than they actually do. You think everyone saw your awkward pause in conversation. Everyone noticed the way your voice shook. Everyone remembers that embarrassing thing you said last week. But in reality, most people barely registered it. Why? Because they're living under their own spotlight too. They're worrying about how they look, how they sound, whether they said the wrong thing, whether people like them, whether they're falling behind in life. In other words, people are not watching you as closely as you think. They're too busy monitoring themselves. That doesn't mean no one ever judges. Of course they do. Humans make quick judgments all the time. But those judgments are usually brief, shallow, and temporary. The problem is that your brain turns a passing moment into a permanent story. One look becomes rejection. One opinion becomes truth. One awkward experience becomes proof that something is wrong with you. And that's where suffering begins. Not from what happened, but from the meaning your mind attaches to it. Your brain cares about other people's opinions for a very old reason: survival. Thousands of years ago, being accepted by your group mattered. If you were rejected by the tribe, you were more vulnerable. Less protection, less support, less chance of survival. So your nervous system learned to treat social disapproval like danger. That wiring never fully disappeared. Today, you may not need a tribe to survive in the same way, but your brain still reacts as if exclusion is a threat. That's why being ignored can hurt. Why criticism can feel so intense. Why embarrassment can make your body tense up like something terrible is happening. Because to your brain, social pain and physical danger are not as separate as you think. And then social media makes everything worse. Now you're not just comparing yourself to the people around you. You're comparing yourself to polished highlights, filtered confidence, edited success, and public approval in real time. Likes become signals. Views become validation. Attention becomes emotional proof that you matter. So without realizing it, your brain starts asking a dangerous question over and over again. What do I need to do so people will approve of me? And if that question runs your life long enough, you stop asking the more important one. What actually feels true to me? At first, approval feels harmless. You dress a certain way because people respond well to it. You change how you speak because it makes you more likable. You hold back opinions to avoid conflict. You act more agreeable, more impressive, more easy to accept. And it works. People praise you. They accept you. They give you attention. So your brain learns fast. Approval equals safety. Approval equals reward. Approval equals relief. And just like that, people-pleasing becomes a habit. Not always because you're fake. Sometimes because you adapt it. You learn that being the right version of yourself gets better results than being the honest version. So you become highly aware of how others react. You read facial expressions too much. You overanalyze messages. You replay conversations. You adjust yourself constantly. Eventually, you don't even know if you're making choices because you want to or because you're trying to avoid disapproval. When approval becomes a habit, you can lose contact with your real self while still looking completely functional on the outside. That's the scary part. You seem fine. You seem normal. You even seem confident. But deep down, you're exhausted from managing perception all the time. The real problem is not that other people have opinions. The real problem is when their opinions become more important than your own clarity. Because once that happens, your identity becomes unstable. Your mood depends on how people respond. Your confidence depends on external feedback. Your decisions depend on whether you'll be accepted, admired, or rejected. And that means your inner peace is no longer yours. It belongs to the room, to the comments, to the reactions, to the audience. That is a miserable way to live. Because people are inconsistent. Some will like you for being quiet. Others will judge you for not speaking up. Some will admire your ambition. Others will call you selfish. Some will respect your boundaries. Others will say you changed. If you build your life around pleasing everyone, you will spend your whole life shape-shifting and still disappoint someone. And worse, you may start disappointing yourself. That's the hidden damage of caring too much. It doesn't just create anxiety. It creates self-betrayal. So how do you stop? Not by pretending you suddenly don't care. Not by becoming cold. Not by acting like you're above human emotion. You stop by changing your relationship with other people's opinions. First, remind yourself, an opinion is not an objective truth. Just because someone thinks something about you doesn't make it accurate. Their opinion passes through their own beliefs, wounds, biases, expectations, and mood. Second, notice when your brain is mind reading. A lot of overthinking comes from imagined judgment, not real judgment. You assume they think you're awkward. You assume they think you're not enough. You assume they noticed every flaw. But assumption is not evidence. Third, practice tolerating discomfort. This is huge. A lot of people don't change themselves because others are always right. They change themselves because disapproval feels unbearable. So the skill you actually need is not constant confidence. It's emotional tolerance. The ability to feel awkward and survive it. To be misunderstood and survive it. To be disliked by some people and still remain yourself. That's real confidence. Fourth, build self-respect privately. Keep promises to yourself. Do things that make you trust yourself when no one is clapping. Make decisions you can stand behind. Because the more you respect yourself in private, the less desperate you become for approval in public. And finally, ask one powerful question. If nobody could judge me for this, what would I choose? That question cuts through so much noise, because most people already know what they want. They're just afraid of what comes with choosing it. At the end of the day, people will think whatever they want. Some will misunderstand you. Some will underestimate you. Some will project their fears onto you. And some won't think about you at all. That's life. You do not control other people's minds. You only control how much power you hand over to them. And freedom begins when you realize this. You were never supposed to be liked by everyone. You were never supposed to be perfectly understood. You were never supposed to perform your way into peace. Peace comes when you stop asking, how do I make sure nobody judges me? And start asking, can I still be myself even if they do? Because the goal is not to become fearless. The goal is to become real. To speak without endlessly editing yourself. To act without needing constant validation. To live without turning every moment into a referendum on your worth. Other people's opinions will always exist, but they do not have to become your identity. They do not have to control your choices, and they do not get the final say on who you are. That part belongs to you.